Let us begin with a foundational, uncomfortable truth: you are a ruler. This is not a metaphor meant to flatter your ego, it is a stark reality meant to define your responsibility. You preside over a domain. It may be a multinational corporation, a small team, a classroom, a household, or the sovereign territory of your own life and choices. And like every ruler in history, you are under a constant, sophisticated, and insidious siege. The enemy is not a competitor, a rival institution, or a critic. The enemy is a pervasive, often friendly, and always self-serving force, the flatterer. Their weapon is not criticism but affirmation, their goal is not your success but their own security and advancement. To understand this is the first and most crucial step of real power. To ignore it is to willingly blindfold yourself while walking a tightrope. Niccolò Machiavelli, the philosopher of raw, unvarnished power, dedicated a significant portion of his work to this specific cancer. He observed that a prince's court is inevitably filled with individuals whose primary skill is the art of telling the ruler not what is, but what he wishes to hear. This creates a fatal disconnect from reality, where policy is based on pleasing fiction rather than challenging fact. The prince, surrounded by agreeable echoes of his own voice, makes decisions based on a distorted reflection of his realm. He becomes a prisoner of his own vanity. And his eventual downfall is not an assassination from without, but a collapse from within, engineered by the very people who smiled at him the most. This is not ancient history, it is the operating manual for every failing enterprise, every crumbling institution, and every stagnant life in the modern world. Your court is vast, digital, and terrifyingly efficient. The most potent flatterers you face are not even human, they are algorithms engineered by the most brilliant minds on the planet, designed for a single purpose: to capture and monetize your attention. Their method is relentless: personalized flattery. Your social media feed is a hall of mirrors, meticulously crafted to reflect your biases, amplify your grievances, and affirm your preconceptions. It surrounds you with voices that chant your convictions back to you, creating the euphoric and utterly false impression that you are wise, that you are right, that you are on the popular side of history. This is the most dangerous form of flattery because it feels like enlightenment. It feels like community. In reality, it is a digital serfdom where you are both the pampered monarch and the exploited product. You are being groomed into a state of confident ignorance, your critical faculties dulled by a constant drip of validation. This digital court has a chilling effect on the real world. It teaches you that dissent is not a point of view to be engaged with, but a heresy to be silenced. It conditions you to expect agreement and to recoil from contradiction. You begin to conflate your comfort with truth. If an idea feels good, it must be right. If a statement makes you uncomfortable, it must be wrong. This is the flatterer's ultimate victory, the rewiring of your brain to reject the necessary friction of truth in favor of the smooth, empty comfort of lies. You lose the ability to even hear a dissenting opinion without a surge of moral outrage, interpreting any challenge to your worldview as a personal attack, a sign of bad faith, or toxic behavior. The flatterers, both human and algorithmic, have made you powerful in your own mind and helplessly fragile in the real world. Now, descend into the modern corporate landscape. Here, flattery is not a social error, it is a survival strategy, refined to a science. Consider the mid-level manager. Their team's pay, promotions, and peace of mind depend entirely on this manager's subjective favor. What is the rational, self-interested move for any team member? It is to become an indispensable flatterer. They will praise a mediocre plan as bold. They will describe a wasteful meeting as productive alignment. They will blame external factors for failures born of the manager's own poor decisions. They do this not because they are evil, but because they are pragmatic. They have mortgages and families. Telling the blunt, ugly truth to a person who has the power to fire you is an irrational act. The system is engineered to weed out truth-tellers and promote skilled flatterers. Thus, the manager is slowly encased in a cocoon of agreeable fiction, utterly isolated from the actual state of their projects, their team's morale, and the market itself. This isolation becomes absolute at the executive level. A CEO is the most flattered individual in any organization, and therefore the most vulnerable. The board of directors flatters to maintain stock price stability and their own reputations. The C-suite flatters to protect their sprawling budgets and their own authority. Consultants flatter to ensure their multi-million-dollar contracts are renewed. Investment bankers flatter to secure their fees. Every single person in the leader's orbit has a vested, financial interest in maintaining the leader's illusion of infallibility. The rare executive who dares to voice a contrary opinion, to point out the emperor's lack of clothes, is not celebrated as a savior. They are identified as a threat to the consensus, a negative influence, someone who isn't a cultural fit. They are managed out, and their departure is a signal to everyone else. The path to success is paved with assent, not accuracy. The company then drives, with full confidence and excellent quarterly reports, directly into a strategic iceberg. The poison of flattery is not confined to the office, it has seeped into the very foundation of how we raise the next generation. Modern parenting is under assault by a powerful industry of flattery. Parenting influencers, best-selling authors, and social media movements flatter your deepest desires, to be the cool, beloved parent, to avoid conflict, to believe your child is not just good, but exceptional and fragile. They sell you a philosophy that equates discipline with trauma, boundaries with oppression, and adult guidance with stifling a child's authentic self. This is a seductive fantasy. It flatters your ego by telling you that the difficult, thankless work of saying no, of being an authority figure, is outdated and harmful. The result is not a free child, but a small god-king, unprepared for a world that will refuse to worship them. You, the parent, flattered into abdicating your throne, have created a tyrant who will one day be broken by a society that does not love them. The education system, tasked with forging competent adults, has instead become a factory for flattering ideologies. School administrators are flattered by pedagogical fads that promise transformative results without the messy, difficult work of rigor, discipline, and foundational knowledge. They embrace these policies because it flatters their self-image as progressive, visionary leaders. The seasoned teacher who points out that the new method is causing plummeting literacy rates or complete mathematical illiteracy is not engaged with. They are sidelined as resistant to change, burned out, or not a team player. The flattery of being on the right side of education replaces the sober, unglamorous duty of actually educating. The students are not served, they are the subjects of an experiment, their futures sacrificed on the altar of their leaders' flattered sense of righteousness. Confronting this omnipresent threat requires a response as ruthless and systematic as the threat itself. Machiavelli's solution was the deliberate construction of a privy council, an inner circle. But this is not your friend group or your executive team. You cannot staff it with people who are dependent on you, who seek something from you, or who are invested in your happiness. You must actively seek out the rarest and most valuable human asset, the person who values your ultimate mission and long-term success more than they value your immediate approval or their own comfort. This person is not your friend. A friend may cushion a blow to spare your feelings. This counselor's duty is to drive the truth into your ribs like a dagger. Because they understand that a small wound now prevents a fatal one later. Their loyalty is not to your mood, but to your mission and your legacy. Identifying these individuals requires a cold, forensic audit of your entire network. Ask yourself, Who has earned the right to criticize me? Look for a proven track record of independent competence. They are often individuals who have built something meaningful themselves, who do not operate in your shadow, and whose judgment has proven sound, especially when it was unpopular. They are frequently the quietest person in the room, the one who listens more than they speak. They are the employee who, after a presentation, asks the one question that dismantles the entire premise of your beloved project. They are the friend who tells you your new partner is bad for you, even as you're giddily showing off the ring. Once identified, you must not wait for their counsel, you must institutionally mandate it. In a business context, this means redesigning your meetings. Do not end with the weak and useless question, "Any thoughts?" This invites only flattery. End with a command, "Your assignment is to tell me 3 things that are wrong with this plan. I will not speak until you have done so." You must create rituals of brutal honesty. You must publicly and lavishly reward the person who points out a flaw, who kills a bad idea, who speaks the unpleasant truth. You must signal, through action and compensation, that truth-telling is the highest form of loyalty in your kingdom. You are not seeking consensus. You are actively hunting for the weaknesses in your own armor before your enemies find them. In your personal life, this practice is exponentially more difficult and more necessary. You must seek out the one person, a spouse, a sibling, a longtime friend, who has the courage to tell you you are failing. You must go to them and actively solicit the criticism that will hurt. You must say, "Do not spare me. Where am I being a hypocrite? Where am I being selfish? Where am I neglecting my duties?" This requires a vulnerability that feels like weakness but is, in fact, the ultimate form of strength. It is the conscious and voluntary dismantling of your own ego to fortify your character and your reality. It is the act of a true ruler, confident enough to be challenged. This inner counsel must be guarded with paranoid vigilance. The flatterers in your outer court will despise them. They will wage a silent, insidious war of whispers against your truth-tellers. They will question their motives, their loyalty, their sanity. "He's just negative. She's always so critical. They don't share our vision." You must be acutely aware of this dynamic and preemptively inoculate yourself against it. The moment you side with the flatterer over the truth-teller, you have executed your most valuable advisor. Their corpse will lie in your court as a lesson to all others. Honesty is a capital offense. Flattery is the only language you wish to hear. You must also understand and accept the personal cost of maintaining this counsel. You will not like these people every day. You will leave conversations with them feeling angry, humiliated, and deflated. You will crave the warm, empty embrace of the flatterers. This is the point. The flatterer's gift is a sugar high of confidence, potent, addictive, and ultimately debilitating. The truth-teller's gift is the pain of inoculation. It hurts immediately but provides the antibodies against catastrophic failure. Their words are not a comfort, they are a whetstone. You are the blade, and they are there to grind you sharp, a process that is inherently grating and abrasive. Crucially, this council is not a democratic body. It is a personal instrument for your use alone. You are the ruler. The final decision and the ultimate responsibility remain yours. The council's purpose is not to command you, but to ensure that your commands are issued with a clarity of vision unclouded by the sycophantic fog that surrounds you. They provide the raw, unfiltered intelligence. You still must lead the army. Their job is to tell you the terrain is swampy and the enemy has cavalry. Your job is to decide how to cross the swamp and where to place the pikes. The flatterer's most brilliant achievement is the successful rebranding of criticism as an attack and affirmation as support. You must systematically deconstruct this and rebuild a new, inverted framework. Learn to view easy, unsolicited praise with deep suspicion. See it as a potential manipulation, a transaction where you are paying with your perception of reality. Learn to view thoughtful, critical dissent as the highest form of respect and the most valuable gift you can receive. It is unvarnished data from the front lines. It is the radar that picks up the storm everyone else is too polite to mention. It is the only thing standing between you and the slow, luxurious, and utterly inevitable decay that comes from believing your own publicity. In the final analysis, the war against flattery is a perpetual, grinding war against the most entrenched parts of your own psyche, your vanity, your insecurity, your deep, human craving to be liked and validated. Machiavelli's brutal, enduring relevance lies in his recognition that to be loved is a luxury for a leader, but to be deceived is a fatal flaw. The flatterer offers you the cheap currency of love and gives you the certain outcome of deception. The truth-teller offers you the friction of conflict and gives you the only chance at genuine, lasting success. Your legacy, in your boardroom, your home, your life, will not be built by the chorus of voices that told you everything was fine. It will be forged in the fire of those few, rare voices who had the courage to tell you it was not, and your wisdom, or folly, in choosing to listen. The throne of the flattered ruler is comfortable, gilded, and positioned directly over the abyss. Choose your court accordingly. Here is the conclusion: truth is a weapon. Flattery is a trap. Build a counsel that arms you, not one that appeases you. If you are ready for more unflinching honesty, subscribe. Next, we will dissect a cornerstone of Machiavellian thought, the lion and the fox, mastering force and cunning.